I'm Tom, and this is my 1965 Buick L Speciale, as my brother has fondly named it. When I was a high school kid, there was a guy in the next town in Linton, North Dakota, that had a El Camino. I believe it was a 64 El Camino, and he had a 64 Buick front end on it. And I'm not sure, but I think he had the little Buick V6 in it. And I'm not sure whatever happened to that car, but I always thought that was a pretty neat idea. So I figured I'd build my own. This is a 65 with a 65 Buick special front end. And the body lines seem to line up pretty good so far. The body molding line is a little bit proud on the Buick, so I'll have to massage the line in the door, on the El Camino door a little bit. But other than that, it seems like it fits on there pretty well. I think it should look quite impressive when it's done. I'm not all about body work, so it's not going to probably be really pretty ever. But what we're concentrating on is reliability for daily driving and miles per gallon. I do have a little Buick 225 V6 that I'm planning on putting in there with a 3-speed manual transmission, and those drivetrain parts will probably eventually change over time. I have a 300 Buick that I'd really like to put in here, and I also have a 430 at some point that could be in there for special events maybe. But we're going to try to do some aero work on this car, like a bottom sheet panel, try to get the air moving a little bit better underneath it, and we may actually make some sort of a tail for it. I looked at the angles, and if I put the tailgate down and slope, kind of like a topper almost, but slope the tail from the top of the roof all the way to the tip of the tailgate, it's a pretty good angle, and I think the airflow over it should follow pretty well. At some point, I have a friend that he does professional model making, and I'm trying to get him to work with me on making a 1/24 scale, like the regular model cars size, low-speed air tunnel. So we can, and I already have a model of this, so we can try to do all of our modifications on the cheap, on 1/24 scale before we do it on the real thing. I do have a lot of body work to do on this car, and this year we're mainly going to try to focus on doing the brake work, as all the brake lines are twisted off and they're all rusted and whatnot. I have got new master cylinder and slave cylinders and whatnot, and I'm going to try to save on the drums. We'll have to probably get new shoes, but I think I can get the drums turned. My goal for this is to try to get it running and driving for less than $1,000. I have about $600 into it right now, including some paint that I did in the engine bay. But this thing is going to be on the cheap. We might have to end up making some parts or robbing some parts off of some other vehicles I already have. I do have a 65 Buick wagon, sport wagon with the glass on the top, and the other 4-door special that this front clip came off of. So I do have some extra parts if we need them. But yeah, that's the goal for this thing. I think I might leave those inside headlights open. Might make some scoops out of those. This is the worst part of the car right here. There's a lot of body work to do right there. We're going to give it a shot. Might have to put some heat to it. Otherwise it might start to tear the seams. But yeah, this spot right here is pretty bad. It's a pretty compound deal there, but I don't know, we put some heat to it and we might be able to work it out. I can get a skin for it, but again, we're trying to do this on the cheap, so there's a pretty good sized dent right there. That one should come up pretty easy. There's a little bit of rust down here. That was on the Buick panels. I couldn't really get around that. I guess I can get some lower patch panels. We might have to do that. And there's some holes in the floor you need to patch, but that's no big deal. I love the 65s. I had a 64 when I was younger, and I love the 64 and 65s because they've got these really big round gauges. The 66s and stuff, they had the horizontal gauge, and I just never really liked that as much. So, need some door panels, but we can always make those out of some cardboard or some sort of plastic we get at the Lowe's or something. This car has a 308 rear end in it right now. It's a Chevrolet 10-bolt. That's a 273 Buick. I also have a 223 or a 323 Buick and another 308 Buick. Those are all the early 8.2 rear ends. Tailgate's got some dings there, but again, it's nothing that shouldn't work out too hard. Well, I hope you guys can hear me. It's North Dakota. It's always blowing wind here. Light breeze here is usually about 10 to 15 miles an hour. So on my sport wagon, I actually have the vertical taillights from the sport wagon. I was thinking about maybe grafting those in. We'll have to see what happens, but I think it'd look pretty neat. This side's fairly straight. Another ding in the door, but that would probably almost pop out with a suction cup. This line here, this is where it's a little proud compared to the lower one of the Chevy, so we have to try to maybe blend this in somehow. But up here, it lines up really nice. I do have the bumper for it. This has got one of those, and they're air machines. Those air engines in there. Some people call them stealth engines, but yeah. But again, yeah, we're going to try to put maybe a couple different drivetrains in this vehicle. Try to see what we can get the best mileage and hauling performance and whatnot out of. I do have an old 1968 vintage Roadrunner 14-foot little camper. I wouldn't mind maybe hauling around with this thing. But this last fall, like I said, we kind of stripped all this out and got it cleaned up, ready for drivetrain, painted a little bit. And the front clip is just setting on here, obviously. But that's kind of where we're at with it, and we're going to go from here. Alright, well, that's kind of a look around the 65 Buick El Special. We're going to keep working on that this summer, and glad you guys and gals took time to stop out here and visit us here at BuickSmith. And please like and subscribe, and we'll catch you on the next one. Alright, so long.